everyone. Thanks for being here. That is me. I chopped my hair off last week, so I look a little different, but it's not too long ago. So today I'm going to talk to you about how I kind of ended up where I am in my career today. My journey started really early in life in the direction of biomedical engineering, whether I realized it or not. So I'm a soccer player my whole life. It was my passion. And in 8th grade, I broke my leg. And I broke it pretty bad. So my tibia, which is the main bone in your lower leg, spiral fractured. And I wasn't able to play soccer that year, which was devastating to me. And then when I got my cast off, I realized that my leg had healed crooked. So it wasn't set appropriately, and I got a 30-degree angle added to my leg. And this was something that, I noticed, and at first my parents were like, whatever, you're just like exaggerating and being dramatic. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure my leg's crooked now. So we figured out that I needed to have reconstructive surgery to make my leg straight again. Otherwise, it would cause problems for me later in my life with like malalignment of my bones. And so about a year and a half later, I ended up having reconstructive surgery on my lower leg where they broke both bones. It twisted the lower half of my leg around so that it was straight again, and then put a fixator on my leg. This is what a fixator is. You've seen people who have these in their brain, or not their brain, in their skull. And what this does is keep your two bones aligned so that they can re-heal. I ended up getting my PhD in biomedical engineering, specifically in electrophysiology, which is the electrical conduction of the heart and how we can manipulate that and make it more natural for people who have arrhythmias. And one thing I really learned here, something to tell you guys as you're going off into college, it's important for you to make yourself stand out. So if you have an opportunity, even if it doesn't pay really well, or it doesn't look like it's that glamorous of a job, take that opportunity and prove your worth. The harder you work, the more people will notice you and recognize you. You don't have to be the smartest one. And actually, if you are the smartest one, a lot of times the smartest people don't work the best with other people. So it's actually way more important to have good social skills than it is to be the smartest one in the room. Everybody can learn to be smarter. You can gain brains, and it's really the emotional intelligence, your social IQ, that really helps make connections and get you where you want to go. So I did internships at Minnetronics. I did a summer internship at the U before I went to grad school, and through my time at the U during grad school is how I got connected with Medtronic. Medtronic sponsored the lab that I was in and would bring their different projects down to do research in our lab. And by working with the different teams from Medtronic, I made myself necessary to those teams. So when it came time for me to graduate and get a job, I emailed all the people I worked with through my lab and said, hey, I'm graduating, does anyone want to hire me? And someone hired me. So that's how I got my job, but I think it really highlights how important it is for you to make yourself necessary and needed and show how hard you'll work, and people will want to keep you around. As I mentioned, I started in orthopedics. I ended up moving into the cardiac space, worked in pacing and electrophysiology. Due to my work in Paul's lab, I got to be pretty decent at doing preclinical research, which is research on animals before we can implant them in humans, because you probably don't want to be the first person to get tested on a medical device if it's never been tested on anything else. So again, it's pigs that we work on. I was hired into the atrial fibrillation group at Medtronic, which works on an arrhythmia of your heart, and then 5 years later moved into the heart valves division. This is a picture of, it's really kind of groundbreaking kind of technology in that we're working on transcatheter mitral valves right now. That's kind of the big new thing in the heart valves market. So what you saw Manny talking about were surgical valves, and these are valves that we can deliver into your heart through your leg. without stopping your heart and cutting your heart. Your heart's beating throughout the whole process. So it's a pretty cool thing. This just shows a picture of something I did at one point in my career and thought, you know, I don't really know, what do I want to do next? And this is something I recommend everybody does here, is figure out, what do you like to do? You know, if you don't know what you want to go to college for, write out the things that are your strengths, figure out the things that you like to do, and just start going in that direction. You don't have to know what you want to be when you grow up. I still don't really know what I want to be when I grow up, but I like what I'm doing now, and I think that that's important to like have passion about the work that you're doing. And so finally I went from a scientist to an operating room. So this is me loading one of our transcatheter heart valves for implant in a human, and I started training our physicians on how to do these new procedures, because we're not only developing new devices, we're developing new procedures, and we have to teach our doctors how to do what we need them to do. And this is a picture of the first ever transcatheter mitral valve implant in Minnesota, and this was in Abbott Northwestern. This is me in the front. That was after our first human implant, which was really, really cool. So that brings me to the end of my talk. I don't know how I am in time, but I guess my main message to you would be to do the dirty work, you know, work really hard, show your worth, and do something that excites you every day.